It looks like you got better access right here to
Yeah,
get in and out.
across from my
Yes.
either way. Because they're not using the other one's already made right now.
All right,
Yeah, I would-
6:30 on the dot. Morning, AJ. How you doing? All right, so this week's code of conduct, we're at the tail end, is promote the code. It's a good little reminder about all the other code items that we have. It's just promote within Eastside, promote the code. Try to act and speak towards the code, and kind of hold each other accountable a little bit to the code. When you can just see something, say something. Hey, just remember the code. Just kind of all keep us in line with our core values of ECI. So something to think about over today and next week is try to really promote the code. So safety news, we have another 7 days. Actually, it's been 7 days without a recordable injury. So excellent. We get about 3 weeks left of the year, so let's really focus. We're gonna have a lot of changing conditions over the next 3 weeks. A lot of snow coming, cold temperatures coming. One of the things we're going to talk about today is a little bit about cold stress and some of the injuries that can happen regarding just the colder temperatures. So let's continue to do our risk assessments, our daily inspection on our stuff, and making sure that we're identifying our hazard and using the hierarchy of controls. So we're getting up to that 145. Let's just keep taking it day by day, hour by hour. It's the only way we're going to be able to keep these trends going. So this week we're going to talk about cold stress. We got some really cold temperatures coming in, a lot of Arctic air coming down from Canada. Next week we're going to have like highs in the teens, so it's going to be real cold next week. So hopefully this is kind of a refresher for everybody. We try to talk about this every year. So the cold stress equation is when you got low temperatures plus wind speed and some wetness, even if it could be from sweating, cooling down, or some rain, participation, anything like that, you got some wetness, and that equals injury and illnesses. Because what happens when their body is unable to warm itself, serious cold-related injuries may occur with permanent tissue damage or even death when it gets to hypothermia. Pretty much when our core temperature drops below that 98.6 degrees, we really start having some serious injuries, potential health concerns with our workers. So you can see here, like next week, we're going to get down into this range here. So at 0 wind speed, we got frostbite, could be in 2 hours, 10, things like that. We got potentially frostbite in about 45 minutes once you get kind of below that 10 degree Fahrenheit. So this is something to think about, especially with these colder temperatures. How are we going to protect ourselves? A lot of that is through our hierarchy of controls. So when we have to get out there and do the work. So we can't really eliminate the hazards. We can't really substitute weather, so we have to get out there. So what we have to do is through that PPE. So it's really that the type of clothing that we wear is really the only best way to kind of control. Drawing a blank here. Cold stress. So try to keep a change of dry clothing available in case your clothes become wear loose clothing or to allow for ventilation. All right, drink water. Just try to stay hydrated. You don't believe, you're living in cold temperatures. You don't think that you're thirsty enough. It's not like heat stress. It's kind of the complete opposite. But you got to stay hydrated. Keep drinking water. Take frequent breaks to consume warm, high-calorie foods such as pasta to maintain injury reserves, things like that. And then use the buddy system. All right, it's very important to really look out for each other. If you see someone with slurred speech and anything like that, it could be because especially if their lips are turning blue and anything like that, those are the first kind of signs and symptoms of hypothermia. So try to reduce, that by staying warm if you can, wearing proper clothing. And then here's a little diagram that I found yesterday, just of some of the type of clothing that really helps try to keep all the heat inside when you're working outside. This is actually kind of a hiking guide that I use sometimes when I go for cold weather hikes. So long underwear is a good type. It's a wool, silk, or synthetic fiber. Same thing with your pants, your shirts, sweaters, or turtlenecks. It's like a wool fleece type of line. Hat, okay, we lose about 40% of our heat through our head. So wearing hats is a really good added bonus to try to make sure you're wearing hats underneath your hard hats. Gloves and mittens, very, very important for your extremities. Again, we have all that stuff downstairs in the tool crib. And then socks. You can never have enough socks, especially if your feet get wet. Bring a change of socks, especially the type of work that we do if we're inside excavations or trenches, things like that, and we got water issues. Once your feet become wet, there's a high potential for frostbite in your toes. So always have an extra pair of boots, socks, or some type of rubber lined footwear. And then parka and jacket. One of the most important things is your jacket, if you can, is that wind exposure that you see. So some type of wind barrier, wind resistant type of outer coat, other than just wearing like sweatshirts and things like that, will really help keep that heat inside and keep your core warm, so you don't be related to cold stress. One of the other things that cold stress doesn't really talk about, and it's very important in the winter months, is just some of the soft tissue injuries that happen when our bodies get cold. We get out there and we try to pick something, move something. It's cold out there. It's important to stretch, especially in the winter months, to get out there and try to loosen up before you go out there and start shoveling, start doing some heavy and intrusive type of working. To really stretch your lower back, stretch your hamstrings, get out there and move around before you get out there and work. Because when our body is cold, we have a high potential for soft tissue injuries. We've already started seeing a couple pop up in the last couple of weeks. So get out there and stretch a little bit, or just try to move around before you start picking something up or doing some high intense labor situation out there. Is there any questions? Okay, I'll pass it over to Ken for the next part.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. It reminds me to get my insulated muck boots in the Jeep. Could have used it already several times. Okay, corporate announcements. The advisor for 401k will be at ECI today. If you have any current enrollees would like an appointment, I think we can probably still slide you in, but it would depend on what time you're available and they're available. Open enrollment for healthcare is January 1st, so deductions start the previous month and starting now. So if you haven't done it, it's not really too late. It's just she'll double up your prepayments out of your paycheck. So it's not too late if you want to get enrolled. Technical tips, we're talking about still spirit levels, but this time the precision level. Remember we talked about torpedo levels, carpenter levels, and a bullseye last week. This type of precision level is a high accuracy type of spirit level. Precision level has an accuracy of around 0.00. Oh wait, three zeros. I messed that up. 0.000 inches in 10 inches, or about 5 thousandths of a percent. It's crazy, which is 20 times more accurate than carpenter's level. And these levels are used for leveling, especially the machines on their foundations, and they're sometimes called a millwright level because of that specialty application. And we recently used the two that we have, and I don't have them here with me. I show you that they were used last week or the week before on a piece of industrial equipment that we set at Vermont Castings. The ones we have, and I think that's why it says 10 inches there, that it's 10 inch, but it's probably 2-inch square in a solid steel. And it's machined very precisely. It has a really long bubble on it. Very accurate. It weighs, I don't know, about 7-8 pounds. It's a serious little level for being that big. So for projects we're profiling, one that we completed earlier this year where we received, this is previous week, an award called the Best Builder Award for actually intermodal transportation in rail. And we received this, we submitted for the Bridge 219 in Florence, the one that, that we, right there in the picture. But basically, we were given that award, and the photos below show the before construction and the after construction. So that's before, and the primary thing that is special about this project was replacement of the center pier. And if you'll notice, the center pier is in the middle of the river. That's the Otter Creek, and obviously and we had to keep rail traffic generally moving, except for scheduled shutdowns on the weekend. A couple of them that we had to that we used to replace that pier. And then you can see here is the replaced pier in the spring of this year with new bearings and everything, and it's installed the pier cap on these drilled shafts. And I had the write-up from the nomination criteria. They have different things like how did it contribute to the community. We talked about Omea and how it's a big industrial or economic engine for that area. The excellence in the service, about how we exceeded everybody's expectation. We even went from a 3-week allowed shutdown to using 2, and then meeting the challenges. And I got a little quick YouTube video to show you what we went through in the innovation part. And for the sensitivity, while we were on the Otter Creek, and obviously that's kind of a big deal around the the water and all the special wetland type riparian type of area, but also we had an issue with endangered bat species because you can't disturb the bats during their nesting time. So all that had to get dealt with. So here's the YouTube video. I think I can pause it here and maximize that. So basically this is all about the center pier replacement, which happened, the bulk of it happened last December. And it's a 2-span railroad bridge, like we saw in the picture. I don't know why I just paused it and it wanted to minimize. So constructed in 1900, 135-foot truss portion and a 75-foot girder portion over the Otter Creek.
What was the purpose for 2 different bridge sites?
Well, for one thing, the longer spans typically go to trusses on a railroad, especially in the old days. The technology was kind of limited. The girder section is shorter. This is kind of a little bit shorter section, and they basically took one big span and a little span to get a greater length, instead of spending the bigger money on a bigger, longer open span bridge. So we had span 1 back here, the truss, and then span 2 is the girder. And the original conditions here with basically a masonry block, granite block, a butt or a pier with a concrete cap, and that cap is really just repairs over the old, it was pretty much granite block right to the top, the bearings, but over the years things have been starting to tilt and so on. Okay, so the primary the bulk of the project was replacement of that center pier, but we also did some the bearing replacement under that area and strengthening for the heavier rail cars, the 286 cars, and some track adjustments. And like we talked about what we have for the center pier there, it was leaning. It had all kinds of problems. I don't know if we ever figured out, Joy, was it on a pile foundation, timber piles?
It's on a timber pile.
And timber piles.
About probably 12, 13 below the.
Yeah. Which still is surprising because timber should hold up in a saturated condition.
Yeah.
So we developed a concept to replace it between us, and Simpson, Gumpertz, and Hager was the structural engineer that we worked for us to submit a program to VTrans to do this replacement. And basically we just started with the initial conditions, basically like you saw in the picture, and it was in steps here. And the first step, while the railroad was still in service, we installed the drilled shafts, and then the next step was to construct the staging area and shoring to support the bridge, the truss bridge, because what's going to happen, we had to take this out, so we jacked up in the later phases, during the shutdowns, the rail bridge, and we needed to have that shoring in place.
How deep were the drill shafts?
77 feet long. 6 foot in the bedrock.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we also precast the cap that you saw in the completed work, and I'll show you how that worked in the pictures following schematics here. So we went to a railroad shutdown in December, and first step was to jack the bridge off, the truss bridge, and remove the girder bridge, and then we demoed out the top of the pier with the drilled shafts already in place. And then the next step was to go in and pour a grout leveling pad after we did that demo down to that cut line. And then we set the new pier, a segment of the pier, the pier cap. The pier cap will extend beyond the drilled shafts. We put a precast piece in that included enough room for the bearings on both bridges, both the spans. And then we installed the bearings, and then put the track back into service and opened it to rail traffic. And then afterwards, we did an infill pour to tie the drilled shafts in. And that was after back with the railroad in service. So what happened, we put the railroad back in service, and this acted alone without help from the drilled shafts by resting on top of the center pier, the old remaining center pier, until these infills were done on the sides to lock in the pier cap to the drilled shafts. And then what that did is that allowed us to go in and do the demolition on the remaining part of the pier. And that was, again, during railroad service. And we constructed the pier cap in as a precast unit, did it on site. You see this is on the north side, tucked underneath the girder bridge. So it'd be handy and ready to go for the shutdown. And we also had Hub Foundation doing the drilled shafts, and we supported them. Big steel casing, 6 foot diameter, and whatever length we needed there. There was tooling and stuff like that we helped them work with, and there was waste and everything. And here we go. This is a still photo series of still photos starting on the morning of the shutdown, December 9th, getting ready here. It really shows up a lot of good detail. So the final train passed 12:54. There was the final train, and then they got set up to remove the girder span, cut the tracks. There's probably joint bars all set up there, and then they picked it up that evening, set it aside. Neat, huh? And under here is a pier cap that's precast under that tent. And if you notice, they'll jack up the bridge here in a moment. And then they demo the concrete, and see the bridge was jacked up on the shoring, and all that pier was brought down to the predetermined level. Then they took that cut surface and they put a grout pad on it. We did, to smooth it out to allow for the setting of the precast. Let it cure it overnight.
That was 3:30.
Yeah, well, short night. Next morning, they come in and the grout had cured. It was a quick set grout. You can see the precast pier cap right here. And then it took 2 of CCS's large cranes to lift this 200,000 pound block. And they're getting set up here. So they did a dual pick because of the weight. And also there was a fiber optic line running right in the middle, you'll notice, which made it more challenging. So they swung it into place. Lowered, you just saw the bridge drop. Lowered the bridge down onto the bearings. And the bearings are already set up on that pier, on that cap. Then they got to take rest again. Fortunately, we had reasonably good weather, obviously, during that period, because you never know. That would have made challenges even bigger. So we finalized some bearing work on the center pier in the north abutment. You'll see they're working on both ends, getting it ready. And then we'll get ready to pick that final span up, that girder span, and reset it. Swing it right around. Drop it into place. secure the rail and all that. Then Sunday evening, another rest period, but essentially it was done. And the next morning, snow that morning, so we're kind of fortunate that they could have made it more challenging. So first thing in the morning, the first train ready to pass, they come in, they do their bridge inspection with the train on it, good to go. And then later on, we'll do those infills on those ends. You'll see this, can't really see much from that photo because that's a winter closure pour. So there's the girder bridge, and we did that final piece on each end. And it's completed and then put back in service, and we finished later summer taking everything, all the temporary staging areas out and everything. Whoa, what's that? Matt, what's on your Matt?
You're not logged into mine.
Yeah. Oh, we'll X out of that one. There we go.
Not mine.
It's your computer.
It said sign in.
What it does, YouTube, if you watch the YouTube, it automatically goes to a new movie after you're done. And I think, yeah, usually it goes and it looks for your kind of taste of movies. So Matt, so good. Photo from the archives. We have a picture of the Stevens Gas project here. Oops. Okay, I'm getting there. There we go. Stevens Gas project. That was siding we installed for Stevens Gas over. That's the 289 over the track over the NECR. 2A is over here, and Stevens Gas is right there. We just had a turnout and some track to those for their unloading. They have propane cars that are delivered there, and they use that for their propane supply. Okay. Have a good day out there.